Gone with the Wind is a 1939 American epic historical romance film directed by Victor Fleming. The film was based on Margaret Mitchell's 1936 novel Gone with the Wind and stars Clark Gable and Vivien Leigh. The film tells the love story between Rhett Butler, played by Gable, and Scarlett O'Hara, played by Leigh, and it is set against the Civil War backdrop. It shows O'Hara's struggles during the Civil War in the South as she tries to survive with her family and is in a love triangle with Butler and Ashley Wilkes, played by Leslie Howard. One of the things I liked about Gone with the Wind is it is a very ambitious production and has a great size and scope. It has a great look about itself, and I think that is a massive part of why this film is so beloved by everyone. I admire the look of this film. I love not only the special effects used, which is least important, but I also like the shots, the set design, the colours prominent in the film, and the costume design. The whole look of this film is great. Another part to me of what gives this film the look it has is the 4:3 aspect ratio, which is the aspect ratio that a lot of old films were traditionally shot in, especially during this era. If you don't know what aspect ratio is, it's basically just how the footage fits on your screen. If it's 4:3, which is also called full screen, then it's basically going to look like a square. It will show much detail in the shot on the top and bottom of the frame, but maybe not much on the sides, because that's where the black bars will be on the sides. I generally tend to think this looks good because it gives films a retro look. It's good for showing lots of details vertically in a shot and can, for example, be good for framing the production design in the background to create a sort of claustrophobic mood while also letting you admire its looks, like in The Shining. And it is also good for films that simply put emphasis on characters as well. It's basically good for films that put emphasis on setting, scenery, mood, and characters equally. If it's 16:9, which is also called widescreen, then it's basically going to fill up your whole widescreen television. It doesn't show much horizontally while also not showing very much vertically. That's why I think this is best used on films such as Five Easy Pieces or The Last Picture Show, where scenery in a single shot doesn't make much difference and it places more emphasis on the characters. If it's 21:9, which is CinemaScope, then it will fill the entire cinema screen. This can be used on other films, but I tend to think this looks good on films pretty much in the same way as the 4:3 widescreen, except it just shows more horizontally as opposed to vertically. Back to Gone with the Wind, I believe the 4:3 aspect ratio it uses really shows off the film's retro qualities and overall production design in a great way. It was an extremely ambitious and important film to the industry, so that's something I'll certainly give it. The film is also good at providing the Civil War backdrop in general, showing the dangers and the fears people experienced that were prominent at that time, and it can be a pretty emotional experience at some points. I do say there are quite a few knocks against this film I have though. First off, I'm sorry, but I just don't overall like the American Golden Age style, not because of how long ago it was, I'm not that immature, but mainly because of just the style of them. Let's be honest here, people. Time has certainly not treated this film overall very well. I can see why people liked it at the time, but watching it now, the acting's not very good. It's a cheesy, quite cliched, repetitive film that drags on way too long, and one of the biggest offences is that it feels like it's glorifying slavery. It's very much a product of its time and for its time. When I say the acting's not very good, I mean that mainly because of the first part of the film, and the cheesiness ties into it as well. The performances at the first part, including Vivien Leigh's, almost made me feel like I was watching a bunch of 8-year-olds in a school play. It felt that melodramatic and overdone. Hell, every line of Leigh's performance in this whole film was delivered as if she was about to faint. It was mostly just what was going on around her that made her performance better after the first part. It was when she was with the family and the maid, Mammy, played by Hattie McDaniel, at the beginning where it was really cringe. Don't believe me? Then answer this. When was the last time you saw two adults, I emphasise adults, poking their tongues out at each other, seriously? I assume never, because I never have. It's just not what people do unless you're 5. Hell, a lot of the lines in this movie are so cheesy and make you think things like, who talks like that? Who says things like that? The best actor in this movie was definitely Clark Gable. Even he wasn't that good. Even he, like all others in this film, was like every other melodramatic, stagey, over-the-top American Golden Age actor. Like every Golden Age film, the film focuses on the upper-class rich people of society, where life is all fantastic, romantic and pretty and everything as well. And I'm so glad that changed. It is also fairly... I'm also glad that has changed for films in the years since, is what I'm saying. It is also fairly cliched with its whole on-again, off-again relationships, which is also why it's repetitive, because there is so much changing from Rhett and Scarlett loving each other to hating each other. I feel like they should have cut some of those parts out, and I also feel like some scenes could have been much more powerful without as much talking. The film runs for way too long, and easily they could have cut out some of the repetitive on-again, off-again scenes in Rhett and Scarlett's relationship, which is possibly the biggest part of why the film drags on too long. I think if they got rid of some of the subplots as well and just had the main story there, like basically if it was more brief, to the point and more focused, I would have enjoyed it better. Another thing is, I swear, I don't know exactly what attitudes the African American maids had towards working for people in nice houses and everything, at least. But I felt like in some parts of the film everyone was way too happy, and that's what I mean by feeling like it glorifies slavery. Because slavery is a terrible thing, and the slaves simply sometimes look too happy. They make slavery look not quite as bad as it really is. They don't make it look good, but just they make it look sort of better than it actually is, I guess. Yeah, they just look too happy, like not sad enough, if you know what I mean. It's a very stereotypical film in its portrayal of black people and rich people as well, which is another big part of why it's cliched. Overall, I thought Gone with the Wind had a good surface with its overall looks, and it has some emotional parts, but time has not treated the film well, and it gives lack of realism with its cheesy lines, subpar acting, cliched aspects, repetitive parts, glorification of slavery, and its overlong runtime.
Tell Scarlett I do give a damn.